right, BIC episode number 63. On this episode, we're finally going to beat the last of the dead horse on the SGC thing. I promise we won't spend long on it. But we will talk briefly about the Conor Bedard bounty, which may or may not be related to Brandon's recent windfall that is completely unrelated to anything SGC related. That and more on this episode of the BIC podcast. Can it be a coincidence that there's $1 million Connor Bedard bounty not long after SGC is sold? Bobbles and ball cards and sellouts. We'll discuss that in the latter segment. But before we do, let's beat the last of the SGC dead horse for now. We will come back to it if anything actually, tangibly changes. But we did mention before we started recording that I did get a kick out of SGC Pete doing his Instagram post talking about a few things. In reality, he didn't really add anything we didn't already know. He kind of just reiterated a lot of what we already concluded. I think the only thing I'll say that was added was that he gave a specific explanation for why there haven't been some specials recently, and kind of cited the amount of cards that had been coming in to that point, which makes sense. That's fine. But he did promise a special squared, if you will, when they finally get back around to doing it's special squared, a special. Hey, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, so he promised a special, and if capable, if I'm capable, you never know. The Bobbles, bulk submission group, we might do a special.
Hey.
Then we can cube it, and I mean, we're doing maths now, and
we don't do that.
That's unheard of. So I'm just saying.
Well, once we start getting into the exponents and we start combining exponents, it starts getting real complex up in here. We're gonna need to fire up the advanced calculators now. The abacus is no longer going to cut it for us. We're gonna have to step it up a notch here. But
we'll see if I can offer the special. But I don't know what it's going to be yet. So
I love it. But my biggest takeaway wasn't really what he said, because as I said, he didn't really add too much more that we didn't already know. But what I thought was interesting, and this is what I briefly touched on, just that I thought is the strong reaction he got. Because I feel like I'll be curious the next card show how much SGC Pete gets you sold out. The comments were big. By the way, I love that it brings people out of the woodwork to be like, well, my SGC orders on day 35 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there like, if this is true, then why haven't you reached out to customer service? Like, serious question, serious, legit question. It's interesting that your first thought is to message it on a post from SGC. Is like, if you, again, being SGC, the fast turnaround time and all that stuff, and flying cars and velvet bags that I've been promised and all this stuff, but if it's way out of whack with what the turnaround time is supposed to be, shouldn't you have already reached out to customer service? Shouldn't you have at least gotten some kind of response from customer service by now? Wouldn't that be your first thing you would do? Question mark.
35 days, yeah.
So 35 days would date back to January, which is a bit concerning, first of all. But second of all, to your point, like, I know for a fact, and I don't use the regular process for customer service, but I know for a fact if you email them, they will respond very quickly, especially if it's an issue that you're saying you've got cards there from January, because something might be wrong. Something might be seriously wrong if your cards are still there from January. So,
like, listen, it's not my department to have the scandalous hot takes, but I might dare suggest, I question the authenticity of these comments. I'm just throwing it out there. I believe it's possible that someone on social media may be exaggerating or not completely in line with the truth. Dare I suggest it? Scandalous!
You are a heretic.
Scandalous.
You are,
but like I said, if you legitimately are having an issue like that, responding on a social media post wouldn't be my first move. My first move would probably be like, hey, call, message, telegram the customer service, at least give that a go first. And then if they blow you off, then fine. Then you start, blasting them everywhere on social media, then go for it. That makes sense at that point. You've at least tried the first level. You at least tried it. So I just thought it was very interesting that specifically on this post, pertaining to this. It's like, well, it's like you say it's like slow down, but 13 days. It's like, no, I'm on day 35. I'm sitting there. I'm waiting for somebody to keep upping the ante. I'm on day 457. It's like, did you even send it?
The guy with the Panini
sure?
sign at the National walks in.
Yes.
He starts posing on his, my SGC order is at 4,627 days.
Yeah, and I waited 11 years, and I never thought to even go to the National and say anything until now. But now, in year 11, that's it. I've had enough. I just thought it was great. I love that guy. That guy was gold. Mwah. Chef's kiss for me. I enjoyed it very much.
Legend.
That is a hobby goat. That is a legend. A true legend.
That's someone who deserves their own card.
They do. And wait, Brandon, did you see that? Did you see Eric did like a segue? Did you see that?
He did. And I would just like to say, I have been holding firm on my my redemption scenario with Fanatics because I want to get to the point that I can be that guy. He is now, like, I know that there's no point in me getting the card ever. And so like now it's just a point of screw it, don't even worry about it. I now could make the sign at some point and go to the National with the sign and be like, hey, I've been waiting 42 years, obviously if I could last that long. But anyway, yeah, he's inspired me to use
I think though, by the time I think given recent events with SGC, I believe that you would now have the technology to do an electronic sign. You could have an electronic play card
that's basically that you can have them say shit.
Yes.
You can have front and back. It's like a glorified iPad. It's like this gigantic thing that has like flashing things and lights, and it'd be sensational. It'd be glorious.
Yeah, that would be kind of neat. Yeah.
It'd be pretty good, man. I'm just saying. Might want to use a little bit of that SGC sellout money. Think about it. Think about it. Now, speaking of selling out, I want to mention amgcollectibles.ca. There's a segue for you.
I don't know if that was a good one, though.
I enjoyed it nonetheless. Eric, I regret nothing. I regret truly nothing. Not even a little bit. I do want to thank AMG Collectibles and AMGcollectibles.ca and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel for supporting the podcast and the live stream as well. And upcoming this week, we will be talking about Series 2, which we'll be talking about briefly here coming forward. And also, I want to make sure, and also the same way it works, because I have no problem selling out. Like, I made this abundantly clear. The Fanatics Overlords have had the chance. They still have their chance. They got the check. We'll talk. Just throwing it out there. But either way, I want you to check out amgcollectibles.ca if you want to check out your needs for various products coming up here, especially including, like I said, Series 2. And then we are going to definitely be talking about Series 2 because there's a lot of big things coming up. That's a big product here coming up. And we'll talk about it on the upcoming podcast, which will be dropping tomorrow, probably not long after this episode drops on this YouTube channel. So I do want to thank amgcollectibles.ca and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel for supporting this podcast and the channel. Now, let's scroll over Eric's beautiful segue. They got us there. Speaking of legends, speaking of, cards being deserved, Topps Big League 2024 is coming out. And we're going to get a new set of influencer cards. And as part of the new set of influencer cards, speaking of selling out, we're continuing the theme. We got a theme going on here. Yeah. Speaking of that, we've got a new set of influencers. And I was talking with the guys before we started recording. And I got to be honest, I'm a lot more perplexed about this group. I'll briefly run you through who we got. And I'll be completely honest, I had to research one of them because genuinely I had no idea who it was. No idea. And I do follow a lot of hobby accounts and I watch a lot of YouTube hobby-wise and did not have any idea who it was. And, so I'll touch on who we got.
To pull the curtain back a little, that the one that you didn't know is the only one I did know. I didn't know any of the others. So we
you're on the hobby dark web, Eric. We know you're on the hobby dark web. Yeah. So we've got 5 cards, similar to last time around. This time around, we've got Striker Breaks, who has a following on YouTube. I am familiar with them. We got Dr. Collectible, who's the one I had to do a little bit of research on. I think they've got a bigger following on Instagram, is what I see from that one. Chi City Polls, who I'm familiar with from YouTube as well. Breaks with Jess, who also is part of Bleecker Trading. So I am familiar with her. And then Jab's Family is the most controversial, I'll say. I won't really document the full length of controversy, but all you got to do is look up Jab's Family, punch in Jab's Family on the YouTubes, and you're going to hear a lot of interesting stories. Let's just say interesting, very spicy stories on the storied history of Jab's Family, which makes their inclusion in this very, let's say, controversial. One dare say controversial.
Would the
Spicy.
Would the spicy stories be interested? Would they be interesting to Spicy Eye?
Oh, Spicy Eye would be all over it. Like,
Spicy
absolutely.
Eye would be all over it. All right.
Yeah, no doubt. But bottom line is, like, I don't really want to recount all the various controversies that have involved Jab's family, but I can tell you just really simply at a high level, if you are interested, you can go down that rabbit hole. I promise there's plenty of interesting discussions that have been had about Jab's family over the years. But including him in this influencer thing, I'm sitting there at this point. I have to ask, some of these folks and their associations are a little bit nebulous. I did get a chuckle that when I went down the rabbit hole of looking up, like I said, Dr. Collectible, I saw that they had visited Bleecker Trading. So I'm kind of wondering, like, okay, so at this point, it's just like a communication thing. They just happen to be hanging around the same area. But then I'm sitting there like, okay, so who at Topps is making the call here? Who's deciding, who meets the threshold at this point? The first group of them, I kind of got it.
This guy.
Yeah, that's, questionable. But let me throw something out at you, though. For the first series, Tim had the association with Slapstrong. He's been around to a lot of shows, does the circuit, does the glad handing, but also had done business with Jeff Wilson. So when you had Jeff Wilson and you have Tim, you sort of get it. Card Collector 2 has a big following. You sort of get that. Mama Breaks, I think, had made the, and they had collaborated, obviously, but I almost feel like they're like clustering these folks and looking for folks that had associated with each other during that time. I'm not sure how Chi City Polls got into that. But at the same time, like I said, they have a following. So I knew who Chi City Polls was. Striker Breaks, same thing. I knew who they were. I'd almost be curious how they found them. Like, for some of them, obviously they make the rounds and go to a lot of shows and network that way. But at the same time, and obviously Tim literally goes to all kinds of shows, especially. He was doing that for a long time, before he kind of fell on the radar.
And nobody, as you said it, glad hands like Tim. That is his biggest strength. And as much as we give him a hard time, and as much as he's a friend of me, in my lifetime, I have never seen anybody glad hand like this guy. He could be a politician, the way he glad hands. It is remarkable. And the connection.
So him getting in front of a lot of folks and then being mentioned when the moment came, because I think part of the story, and that's his story to tell, and he's told it before, but the reality is when people were asking about possibilities, his name was thrown in the hat because of,
and he had a bigger hat, obviously.
Big hat. I think that was an unfair advantage, honestly. That's like performance enhancing, but we'll leave that be. The point is that it made sense that his name got thrown in. Some of these other ones, I almost went like, how did your name get thrown in? How are you even in the running? Like, was there like a short list and you scratch people off to find these final five? Like, how do we get here?
Do you think Topps is using the rejected kids reporter submissions and compiling who submits the most?
Speaking of spicy, Brandon over here lobbing. 1 second. What's that, Eric? Somebody's lobbing grenades. I see what's going on here. You wait until the Beckett slander of the week.
Well, I actually have something that I forgot.
What is it? A weekly? Is it Eric? Is it now a weekly segment?
No. So this actually relates to this whole part. We're not jumping ahead yet. We're staying grounded right here.
Ahead. All right.
But something that people likely, I don't think anybody would know from my channel, the Bobbles and Ball Cards channel. My first ever video, and I thought I still had it on here. I thought I unlisted it because I was tired of all the comments on it. Like years later, but I must have just deleted it and got rid of it. But my first video ever, speaking of the many truths of Jab's family, was a video where I had watched a break he did and was literally hiding, like just skipping over cards in the break, right? The hits from the break. He wasn't even acknowledging them. And then it was right after. And again, not to go down to all the skeletons in the closet, but that happened right before all of the eBay feedback and everything. Y'all remember that when like there was so many negative feedbacks where people were saying they weren't getting their cards and all that other stuff that came out on him. That was the first video I ever did on the Bobbles channel. And it wasn't even, I hadn't even began it as like a card channel. I just recorded it with my phone and uploaded that video. And then I hadn't done anything else in a while. And it was just like that video was up there. And believe me, it got a lot of attention, but I finally removed it because I was sick of all the people commenting stuff on it.
Right.
So that's a little hidden.
We've had his number since day one then.
Oh,
I think though the bottom line though is so like I said, kind of the reason why I thought it was kind of obviously it's very entertaining for me. And I am genuinely curious how they're arriving at these lists because this group, like, so being serious here, this group perplexes me. Like I could almost make a case for a few of these, I guess, if you know, based on followings, based on like interconnections and stuff. Some of it I can sort of get. I feel like it's breaker heavy at this point. Like this grouping is very breaker heavy. Striker breaks, Tri-City Poles, breaks with Jess, Jabs family to a degree, Dr. Collectible. I don't know what category he would fall under. Like I'll leave that to you. My point though is I'm looking at it. I'm going like, how are we arriving at the first grouping?
The influencer level.
But the thing is, there's so many people now that categorize as influencers. Like, so what are we talking about here? Like, it's just
right.
like,
That's what I'm saying. It's weird that it's breakers, although the cards are supposed to be influencer cards.
Yeah. Well, a breaker can be like a breaker with a big profile. I can get that. But like, it almost feels like it's almost. I would love to know the process, whatever that process was over at Topps. Did they start off with a bigger list and then just start culling it down, or did they collect names and then start putting them, or did somebody at the last possible minute go, "Oh crap, we're doing this again? Get me 5 names. Get me 5 names. Snap. Who's on the YouTubes? Who's on the Instagram?"
They did what every breaker does and put it in what is that, random
random.org.
Yeah, random. They put all the names in random.org that they had on their like list of breakers and stuff that they have allocations for. All right, throw them in there, hit, roll the dice and run it like they do. Let's see who's the top 5.
All I know is I have to wait another year, and I'm just really disappointed.
I'm going to cross my fingers here. I'm hoping that in 2025 we get, Bobbles and ball cards and Ziri. Like if y'all know, Ziri is one that we got to get. We got to get Ziri on here, man. Like this is going to be huge. It would require a face reveal, though. I wonder if he would only agree to do it as a silhouette, with a top down.
Eric, question: do you make it into the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame first?
Oh God!
Or on the influencer checklist first?
I would. Both of them are ridiculous, but I find I'd rather have my own card. At least that would be less ridiculous to me. That'd be kind of neat, But that YouTube thing, they can just. I'm good.
I think he'd have to make a video. It's like a minimum qualification.
Okay, if you go on my YouTube channel, I have made videos. They're just.
Have you made a video that pertains to cards?
No, it's just me riding mountain bikes.
That's kind of what I figured. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Yeah. That I don't think that's gonna cut it.
It's just and my daughter parasailing.
If at least you had put a card in the bike spokes to make the cool sound, that might have been like
card content. Yeah,
that might have gotten you in.
I'll put the GoPro on, like do something stupid, come to the bottom, and then all of a sudden whip a card out.
Yeah,
there you go. Okay.
That sounds like card content to me.
All
as good a qualification as any.
Oh, I'm definitely
actually wait. There's been too many cuts with the knife. Maybe we shouldn't be suggesting this.
Listen, I'm about horror. Like, work with me on this. Like, this is going to work out great for me. The content.
I don't want to be an influencer of Eric getting hurt again.
I'm kind of okay with it, Brandon. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of okay with this. This is gonna work out. It's a win-win.
You don't think 2 surgeries related to mountain bike crashes in 2 years is a good thing? What's the matter?
I wish that
you would give
up the mountain biking. We were talking about before we started recording. I wish that you would give up the mountain biking and take up a safer pursuit, like say jumping off a ladder onto some chairs that hold a pane of glass. So if you were to do something like that, it would not only be spectacular, worthy of the gram, no doubt, but obviously a much safer pursuit.
Maybe while you're holding a game-used Bobby Orr stick.
Ooh.
Yeah. I tend to abuse those.
That's why you land on the glass with your back to protect the stick with your body.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're protecting the stick with your body.
And you might like chink it on your way down or something.
Yeah, that probably would happen. He'd be like, ah, like a javelin thing. Like, ah. What is this? What's going on? What are we doing here? I don't know. Man.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. Anyway, the hobby influencer list is cool. Look, bottom line, this hobby influencer check. The first one was silly, but at least it was funny. This one's look. I'm gonna say it. This was just kind of sad. This is like it's like if you're gonna do it, it should feel like there's a rhyme or reason to it. This feels like somebody had homework and waited until the last possible second, and they were like, "Oh shit, I need to come up with 5 names," and here we are. I can make the case for at least a couple of these, but Jab's family is like, did we not do? Should we hit up the Google a little bit? Should we look this up a little bit before maybe we commit to this move?
Yeah. Do you remember?
But you know what? You know what this proves, though.
They don't
this
Google?
proves. No, this proves because I think that he removed a lot of the implicating videos that he had out there, the videos that were kind of indicting him on some of these issues. But this proves that some things that you've mentioned over the course of time, people forget and ignore so much shit in this hobby. Like, or they just like, you said, people probably don't even know that SGC was acquired by collectors.
Oh, they don't,
because
like,
they don't look at it. They probably have no clue any of the information about Jabs because either they didn't know who he was or they don't go below a surface. Like it's, oh, well, this guy's got a lot of, followers. He must be liked and blah, blah, blah. And they don't go any deeper than that. And so it's just not known, so that could be a lot of it. It's either forgotten or it's just not known.
I always defer to rule number 1 in this situation.
Well, yes, and number 2.
It covers a lot of ground. Really answers a lot of questions.
I was surprised at how many people in the hobby were not aware that PSA is owned by a parent company. And you say, hey,
who acquired them?
Yeah, SGC, got purchased by collectors. Well, what's that? So it's the company that owns PSA. What do you mean PSA isn't its own company? This conglomerate collectors owns many different things within the hobby, and now they acquired SGC. And I've had to explain it to a couple of people, and they had no idea that was a thing.
That's part of the reason. Look, that's part of the reason why I make that assertion that a lot of folks don't care about the details. Now, you do also have the folks, because I've actually seen titles of videos. They're like, for the last time, stop lying to people. PSA didn't buy SGC, and I'm sitting there like, You got really triggered by people. Like, here's the thing: some people are putting that in the title not knowing what's going on. Some people put it in the title knowing exactly what's going on. If you put collectors bought SGC, there's a good chunk of the hobby that has no idea what that is. Like, it actually means nothing to them. They're like, I have no idea what that is. But if you say PSA bought SGC, they're like, what?
Term in the hobby. Collector, we are collectors, right? But we're not the company. So it's like a generic. Even in my video, I put the one I did today, I put PSA collectors, because if you put collectors, people are going to be like, well, that's all of us. We didn't acquire them. So
look, there's a reason why on the thumbnail I put SGC Pete and then superimpose the PSA logo on his shirt over that spot where the SGC logo was. Look, it's not necessarily clickbaity, but it's clickbaity-ish. It's clickbaity adjacent. It's like, but then you read the first line of the description, it says exactly what it is. Parent company of PSA collectors purchase SGC, blah, 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 blah. So it is accurate. And the video itself speaks accurately what the actual statement is. But like, come on. If you say PSA and you say SGC, folks in the space are going to know what that is. You say collectors, some folks in the space know what you're talking about. Other folks in the space genuinely don't. They have no idea.
So-
like to them, it's almost like a separate entity coming out of left field. It's like holding company that owns PCGS, that owns WADA, that owns PSA, and now SGC is another one of the brands underneath this holding company that is collectors. That's what that means.
So to circle back before we move on from the influencer thing, name 3 people you would have put in there, or 3 people you feel that that should at some point get their cards, because I'm just curious of that too. I don't really have anybody on the top of my head, so it might be a hard question to ask, but I was just curious if you had anybody that you would have, that you could throw off on the top of your head.
So go ahead. You want to go? Go ahead.
All I wanted to say was I just want to level set for a second, because I think we can come up with our list, but I want to level set for a second. I think what's been tricky about this whole thing is I struggle to define what should be considered a hobby influencer, because that's why I say with the quantity of breakers, with the direction they took here, breaker heavy, Card Collector 2 is a brand in the hobby. You might like him, you might not like him, but he's got a card shop. They participate in running the trade nights, and they've been able to build a social media following. So it's like there's a couple pillars. Jeff Wilson, for better or worse, has been able to circle himself in this brand in a couple of. So those two in the initial list make sense to me. Timmy Two Hats is basically there just to anger Eric. So that I understand that. Yes. That makes sense to me. I get that. That makes sense.
He's the Hal Gill of influencer cards.
Yeah, no doubt. But here's the thing. He is around a lot, and he is adjacent. Like there is a Jeff Wilson connection there as well. So you can sort of connect the dots a little bit there, and you can kind of put some pieces together. Fine. And then Mama Breaks, I think she's been around for a lot of these things right now, getting in the media side of things, social media following of that. I have no issue with that. That's fine. And I'm just trying to remember, who's the other one? You had that one. You had Jeff, Card Collector 2, Mama Breaks, Timmy Two Hats, and there's one more that I'm forgetting. The Slab Stocks guy. That one is more borderline.
Oh, yeah.
The Slab Stocks guy was more borderline to me. Yeah, that one's more that one would be like my odd man out in this list, like if you're going to rebuild the list. But those are your initial 5. For these here, Jab's family to me is immediately off. Like I'm like, there's too many negative, problematic connotations with a lot of the way he built his following and where he sits under the. Again, a basic Google search, like it wouldn't have taken much for you to figure this one out. Like you need to do a little bit of research. Breaks with Jess, I think it fits from the perspective of the Bleecker trading thing, because Bleecker has been able to build up a little bit of a brand in the hobby. You want to make that connection, I can sort of work around it. But all these other breakers, like I struggle with it. Striker Breaks, even Tri-City Pulse, who both have followings. So I'm Dr. Collectible, like I'm sorry. With due respect, like you're not on here. You're not on this list for me. Not especially in the second group of 5. We got to go a little further down the draft list before we reach you. I think for me, you're looking for folks that make sense from the perspective of they're around, like, but you're not going to like who makes sense in this point. You don't want to necessarily do business leaders. That's why you don't put the Ken Goldens or the Nat Turners or whatever. Like, obviously people aren't going to be too comfortable with that. Do you include like a Dr. Beckett? Historically, he would qualify as someone who was influential historically. Is a name, obviously a name brand in the hobby. Does that count? Like, is that something that would make sense?
I think they're looking for the new, young, up-and-comers. I don't think they're looking for, a Hall of Fame list. I don't think a 12-year-old, think about the product. Think about who it's aimed towards. 12-year-old boy opens it up. Does he care about Dr. Beckett, or does he want to see Timmy Two Hats?
Well, there's somebody that comes
the answer is no.
I was just thinking,
the answer to your question is no. Just a general no.
Who raps and sings and is very outgoing and is at all these different card shows all over the country, and it has a very big personality. They're looking for that person to have that 12-year-old be interested in. I don't think they're going to be interested in Dr. Beckett as much as, we see it that way. But now I think we're more going into Hall of Fame questions, which we've been doing over the last couple of months due to the YouTube Hall of Fame thing that we discussed. I think they're looking at up and coming influencers at the market that is being targeted for that brand. And Dr. Collectible is way cooler than Dr. Beckett.
There's
on this point, I agree.
That I have in mind that I'm curious why it didn't get, and I don't know her too well, but she's been in the hobby way before the pandemic boom and was fairly well known.
You think it's Suze?
No, because Sue's, she's obviously influential, but she's tied to a company, so maybe that's part of it.
Sure.
But she's also had a card before. Sure. She has a card in Allen and Ginter or something one of the years, I believe it was.
I think so. That's right. Yeah.
But this is someone that I think is also possibly tied with Bleecker. Also, Jeff has went and done a video with, but that I don't know her actual name, but the lady from Black Jaded Wolf. They've been in the hobby. They've been in the hobby for a long time, and like go to shows. People know them. Like I've never heard anything negative about her.
So
that's one.
So let me pose the question to you. So I get what you're saying. So and she was in the hobby documentary, that second documentary, the most recent one. She was featured prominently in that documentary. But she was featured prominently.
I've dealt with her before at Chantilly and at the National and stuff. And she's always a really nice lady, and I've never heard anything negative about her. So
sure,
when you were mentioning the ties, she has ties with both Jeff and Bleecker. So it's kind of that was a name I could see.
Yeah. So I'm just mentioning, like I said, that most recent The Hobby documentary, she was featured prominently as one of the main characters, so to speak, in it. So she was definitely part of it. I think your name makes sense. The only thing I would throw out there, that was the reason why I struggled with it, because I'm wondering what's considered a hobby influencer. It feels nebulous because, like, yeah, okay, Black Jaded Wolf. You say that, I know who that is. But I follow a lot of like. I think my underlying thesis here, Eric, and this is kind of my point that I've been making. Whenever I have a discussion like this, either on the live stream or in this format, what I constantly have to remember and also kind of reiterate, I'm absorbing more content than the average person relative to a lot, by a factor of a lot. That doesn't mean that I see everything, because I can't. Nobody can. But I've seen a lot. I observe, and I have other people that will sometimes direct me and be like, hey, you should check this out. And I tend to do that as best I can and try to follow along with it. I go through a lot of podcasts and a lot of things. It's tough for me to catch everything. Nobody can, but I'm struggling to see if, as successful as a dealer as she is, I'm wondering if that would constitute enough to be considered a quote unquote influencer. But I guess if Striker Breaks is an influencer, then I think that opens it right up and says, yeah, why not? To your point, then I can't really say no definitively. I'm like, yeah, I suppose, sure. But look, maybe to your point, let me throw a different name at you. Eric will appreciate this one. Because we had a lot of fun with it on live stream and everything, especially when this story broke and I was on Neo's live stream with Brandon and with one of Eric's buddies, Mike Gio. He's a bit of a controversial figure, but with the whole connection with the Ringer and all that, and having a podcast and all that, there's a platform, there's an audience. Would he not constitute then an influencer by this nebulous definition we're trying to figure out?
I think my opinion is yes. I know I'm prejudiced, but yes. I think that would be fantastic. But again, I don't know if sports card nonsense is aimed to 15-year-olds. I'm looking now, again, I'm thinking of that. I'm thinking of the target audience of the product. And I'm thinking and I'm going to wash my mouth out with soap afterwards. I'm thinking like Backyard Breaks is an influencer card that a 15-year-old is going to want to is
I probably would have gone with Mojo, and it would have been less horrific. Yeah, there's still some issues. Like, let's get this right. There's some underlying issues, but I think you have an easier sell selling Mojo.
Can 15-year-olds even create an account on the Whatnot platform?
I don't know.
Because I mean, outside of Whatnot, Backyard is only known in the hobby when they screw up and like people expose it. So
well, but see the problem is, Brandon. So let me quickly touch on what my issue is, what my struggle is here. If I try to use this argument about the 15-year-old Aaron from Slabstocks. Who the hell is
I was
Aaron
thinking
from
the same
Slabstocks?
thing because like most
Like
of
who the
their
hell?
posts is
So,
about
like here's the thing. I know who that is
10,000
because
plus
I've been
dollar
in the
cards.
space.
Yeah.
But like, if you're the average 15-year-old in the hobby, do you know who Aaron from Slabstocks is? Hell no. With due respect, no. They have a
There might be a
following. Like, don't
few,
get me
but
wrong, they have
yeah.
a following. But like, but again, in that first group, it was a little bit easier for me to put the pieces together. In the second group, I'm like, so what is it you guys are trying to do here? Because the second group confuses me more than the first group. The first group, I had one that I questioned. In this one, I have multiple that I question. I'm like, where are you coming up with these names? I'm struggling to like. So, what does an influencer even mean to you? Like, I don't get it anymore. Like, I'm lost. You lost me. I don't understand what I'm looking at here.
Right. Yeah. What angle are they trying to take? And it's in a product that is, more. It was supposed to be a kids, targeted product. So I
They're
get
super short
the
printed though. It's not
angle
like you're
of
getting one every other box or something. So it's not like it's going to be a big
right.
deal for most people. So it's like whatever. But it's a big hit in theory. And you're like I don't know how I'd feel about getting a Striker Breaks card if it was like a big hit for me. Like, it'd be kind of weird.
I mean, are you going to buy boxes to try to pull jabs?
I'm not, but maybe someone is.
I don't think anyone is gonna pull boxes to try to find influencer cards. I think it's whether or not you find it interesting when you open it, and if they truly are influencers for that market, then I know for a fact, and again I hate myself, but I know for a fact there were young kids that were very excited for Tim's card. And they have come up to him and asked him to sign it. The kids are coming up to him asking for pictures. Kids come up to him all the time and tell him how cool he is and how funny he is. And and I'm standing there going, "Oh, if you only knew," right? But he's
just out of curiosity, because you mentioned like going up and getting him to sign and everything, and Carlos mentioned Suits earlier. What is separating these cards in Big League from the cards they put in like Allen and Ginter? I mean, Gary V's had a card in there. Post Malone's had a card in there. Suze has had a card in there. There's like sportscasters and like
Gary V.
they put
Gary V had a card in Allen Ginter.
Yeah, I mentioned Gary V, and people were bringing that up to him at the National when he was set up and getting this. So
Aaron Rovell has there's an influencer.
Yep.
Aaron
Rovell has Ginter. Like there's
card in Allen and Ginter.
Right. So what's necessary? Why didn't they just use the Ginter space to put these people in? I mean, that's essentially what Suze, I think, got hers when she was with Topps, if I'm not mistaken. That's when she got her card. But why didn't they just use that set? It would have made way more sense putting these cards in that set.
It's the Topps
because a couple of years ago when they initially did this series. So just repeating the underlying conundrum I'm having right now, the struggle I'm having with it. I get the premise that they're trying to do something outside the box. The social media following card where a player would follow you on social media and whatever, that's outside the box too. So with Big League, they're trying to play around with it a little bit. This is like this is a very cheap brand. And by the way, the cards are fine. I opened a couple boxes myself last time around just for kicks because I thought it was funny. And I was able to get them pretty cheap at my local shop. So I figured, what the hell? Hey, if I pulled a Geoff card, it'd be funny. It'd be good content. It would be entertaining if I did. But the odds were long. They didn't have too much of a shot. But I think the fact that, so maybe I put this way, whereas Ginter is, you can go all over the map. You can pull cards of all kinds of wacky things. You can come up with all kinds of crazy. I think to your point, the reason why they didn't do it in Ginter is because in Ginter, it's almost expected that you go outside the box because the whole Ginter product is outside the box. This is a situation where they leaned into hobby influencer. It's specifically in the checklist as verbatim hobby influencer short prints. This is from Topps.com. This is their checklist. They're saying hobby influencer short print. They lean right on into it. This is as clear cut. Now, I guess the definition of hobby influencer has become very nebulous. I don't know what the definition is clearly. Like this list has made me more confused about what the hobby influencer was than when it originally started, and it was always a nebulous concept. But at this point, I genuinely don't know what it means. I don't know if it means following. I don't
mean,
know what the threshold is. Like, I don't know what the cutoff is. I have no idea.
As cool as it is, I don't know if I really would want a card in Big League. It's almost like a participation trophy.
I think you'd like a
it's
card
cool,
in Big League.
but like,
I think you'd like a card in Big League if it allowed you to spread the propaganda of Jason Robertson. As long as they agreed to let you let you agree to wear your chain with the Jason Robertson card, like it promotes your interest. Yeah, like, yeah, I'm in. Yep. Let's do this.
And with that, I think it's a great segue into our next topic. I think that is a perfect segue.
Eric, we're doing so well today. We are doing so well. Like we've been all over these segues today. All right, we're gonna do a little. Shall we do a little Connor Bedard bounty talk? Shall we do a little bit of that?
Let's do that.
I mean, y'all better go get your wax.
All right, so here it is. Here's the big thing. Series 2, we knew it was coming. We've alluded to it and touched on it. Okay, this is going to be my second plug here. First one. We had a little fun with the sellout segue, but I'm gonna bring it back to the Series 2 is going to be a big product coming out of AMG Collectibles, AMGcollectibles.ca, AMG Collectibles. It's going to be massive. It's going to be massive.
They made a special Instagram post reminding people that it's coming out on Thursday, and they will probably have some in stock Thursday.
Yeah, and also I can almost guarantee. Again, I haven't checked in with them yet, but just knowing what happened with Series 1, pay attention to whatever is announced because there's probably going to be some kind of caps involved. And with the pricing, you would think it would be necessary. But just go look at the pre-orders, guys. Go look at the pre-orders. Like the pricing is like,
it's going to sell out quick.
We're talking Eric like button money. Like we're talking serious dough here, like serious dough. So let's talk about this. So Series 2 was highly anticipated. Everybody was going after it. It was going to be a big chase. Now, what this results
in, crap.
You see it now?
I'm sorry. I just read some of the the terms and conditions of this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. So I'm gonna talk about with Series 2, you've got a big price gap between Series 1 and Series 2. In reality, the biggest differentiator is Conor Bedard being in it. We knew that was going to be the case. Right now on David Adams, the pre-order price is just shy of $300 a box USD. Big money. Like 12-box case, just shy of $3,600. No small potatoes. I got to be honest. I'm not seeing that Young Gun will sell well out of the box, like right out of the gate. It'll come out pretty hot, but even then, like it's not. I don't even know if within a couple of weeks you make back the price of the box because the Young Guns are not like short printed. They're not short printed at all. Now, within the context of an individual box, tough pull. With the context in the case, I would say it's going to average about 1.5 Conor Bedards per case, meaning you buy 2 cases, you should expect to get about 3, give or take. That's how the maths work out. But even then, it's going to be like tough. But the big thing that came out was the bounty. So we're going to talk about the bounty here. And the bounty came over from, who was the offering? It was David Adams again, I believe. If I'm
it's David Adams. And I want to read something. You can pull this up just so people can see.
Yeah, I'll get it while you're finding it. Go ahead. Yeah.
It says 2023-24 Upper Deck Conor Bedard Outburst Gold 101 Young Guns $1 million bounty. And then below it, it says the card must be in nice condition. No obvious damage like dents, dings, creases, or scrapes. The card should look like it would grade a 9. It's a freaking 1 of 1. How can anyone determine what the hell the card looks like when it comes out of the pack?
Right.
Like I can't believe it even says that on there.
So Brandon, hold on. Let me add a little bit of I haven't specifically checked in on this, but just speaking on previous bounties. And I think there's a misunderstanding on the bounties because we're going to talk about the bounty thing now. We're going to discuss it, but I think there's a misunderstanding. The bounty comes from one of 2 places: David Adams themselves, which is one scenario, but there have been cases in the past where that bounty is actually based on a collector who uses David Adams as kind of their clearinghouse, so to speak, like their conduit to getting it out there, which means that if you're the person and you're offering $1 million, you got conditions. Meaning you're the one who can set the conditions. So if you've got, I'll pay $1 million if it would be equivalent, if it looks good enough to get a 9, you're the one with $1 million. You get to call the shot. Otherwise, it's worth less. But when you're putting in a guarantee, you're going to want some assurance. You're basically building in some assurances for yourself. Now, Upper Deck Quality Control may have something to say about that.
Here goes back to the question, though. What the hell difference does the grade matter? It is a 1 of 1. Like, really, what does it matter? You're not getting another one. There's not going to be a 10, 9, and 8.
Look, I'll play devil's advocate here. Hold on. I'll play devil's advocate here. You're right about it being a 1 of 1.
Yes.
But counterpoint, as a man recently rich off the acquisition of SGC, you should understand this. The upper class have certain tastes. They have certain they need things a certain way.
Yeah.
Eric requires before every single show that someone removes the yellow M&Ms from his bowl. Otherwise, he won't even start the show. Like, there are requirements, certain things. The point is, so look, you have to remember something, and we can't talk out both sides of our mouth here. You're like, what's the difference? It's a 1 of 1. You're right. But in this case, this person or individual or consortium or whatever, whoever is specifically behind the money behind this, is offering the $1 million. Okay, who's the second highest bidder? If it's not $1 million and it's less than $1 million, but like way less than $1 million, then if you want the full bounty, so to speak, then they can set any conditions they want. If otherwise you say, oh, well, in that case, I'll put it in the open market. Cool. Sounds good. That person may still win it, but they're going to win it for less than $1 million. If we go based on, like, if you just put it up in open auction, they probably won't get $1 million. 1 of 1 or not, right? So in this case, they said, individual consortium, whatever, will give you $1 million, but you must meet all my conditions. If it is anything less than that, then go ahead, put it in the open market. And maybe I still win it. But maybe I win it for less than $1 million.
If the image that they have on this video that they have linked on this shop page is the Bedard Young Gun, it's actually an ugly card too. It's like it's plain. It's him in like warm-up gear. It just I don't even care for the card. I don't know. It's crazy, but
Young Guns usually aren't the most exciting, like, dynamic images necessarily.
There's been a few different things posted. I think it's all photoshopped, and people are making them on their computers and saying this is what it looks like. Because I've seen like 3 different versions of this Young Guns that I don't think anyone knows for sure right now.
Well, here's the scenario, okay? And I said it when I texted you guys about the bounty and stuff. First of all, whoever's deciding that they want to pay $1 million, they're absolutely batshit crazy, because how many cards have ever sold hockey card wise for $1 million plus? I think
what Eric wants to spend his money on is his own business brand and settle down.
But let's be realistic here and talk real, talk realistic. $1 million cards, we've had the O-Pee-Chee, PSA 10 Gretzky, and then I believe maybe
the O-Pee-Chee, PSA 10 Gretzky. Those are the 2.
That's the 2 hockey cards that have exceeded $1 million that I am aware of. Now, I get it. I get what they're doing, and this makes some sense, okay? And hear me out.
I'm listening.
So it all works in unity now, right? David Adams, KSA just updated the slab. They got the new security, scratch resistant, all that high-tech shit going on over up there at KSA. Okay.
Changing the hobby.
The person says it has to look like a 9, so if you send it up there, you're probably going to get like a 10 3/4. So there's a play. You get the new label, the security feature, all that. Then David Adams is connected to Hit Parade, right? So you put the $1 million bounty to get increased demand on your 2023-24 Series 2 wax, while you throw it in that KSA slab, and that instantly, they paid $1 million. Who knows? It could be like 8 figures in that slab. And then you have a super duper mega bid chase card that you can then put into the Hit Parade repacks, and David Adams just like blows up. Are you following me? Like they
David Adams,
they profit on the cases, then they get it graded, and they have stipulations of what it's got to meet. You know, they got the grading company that's already got the new features and everything. Then they have the repack product that they can put it in. So then they can profit off of that. Like, it's almost genius, because why in the hell else would anybody spend $1 million on this card?
So do you want me to actually answer that seriously? Because I can't answer it. So it's twofold. Like, it's back to when we were talking about the 79 Peachy case. Why does somebody spend comfortably into the $3 million, almost $4 million on that? Because they can. They got it. They want to be the one that owns that specific card. Now, from the David Adams perspective, they're not complaining, because for them, they're a retailer that sells cases. They sell boxes, they sell cases, they'll make bank. They'll make bank on it. Oh, yeah. But like I said, that's why I was very clear on this, though. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. There have been two versions of that bounty. Some of those bounties in the past that David Adams has been responsible for is David Adams themselves funding the bounty. They themselves said, and they've honored it. Like, every time they've offered one of these bounties, if somebody pulled the card in question, they have been willing to honor and pay for. And here's, if you're the person who pulls the card, do you give a crap why they're offering $1 million? As long as it meets condition, you get $1 million. Do you give a crap? You do not.
Oh no,
you will happily accept your money. Thank you very much, sir.
A 9.
Yeah, but
like, you go at that point. So if you pull it, yeah, and you're worried that it doesn't, do you then go get some Kurt's card care and make sure? Maybe. I mean, Kurt's could profit from this too.
Oh, it's no doubt. But like I said, though, I don't have an issue with them having condition. So, like, going back to your point, I agree it's a 1 of 1 either way, but I think there are some folks where, again, we're playing in a game where in the open market, I think we all agree, in the open market, just left on its own devices without a bounty in place, no bounty, you just put it in the open market, I don't think it reaches $1 million at all. I don't think it comes close necessarily.
Well, I would like to make a proposition, and I'm going.
You're going to offer 1.1 million? Go on.
Nope. So, David Adams, they have a $1 million bounty. Brad, I am sending an open invitation. You text me and said we are teammates. AMG Collectibles is officially, unofficially, because I haven't talked to Brad about this. But we're going to offer, and I know he's a big Bedard fan, we're going to offer 1.25 million yen in US dollars as a bounty to up the stakes. So you get 1.25 million yen to exceed the 1 million bounty that DA Card World. And Brad, when you watch this, I will go 75% with you. How about that?
I think that seems like a generous offer.
I am offering 5 million pesos.
Now we're going to see the international markets, and the peso suddenly becomes more than the American dollar. It's like, that's all I want. I just want the Mexican peso. Let's go Mexican peso.
I searched yen before I made my claim, so yeah. But the deal stands.
By the way, Eric, do you know how much 5 million pesos is right now?
27.50.
200 and just shy of 295,000 American dollars.
I'll sell my head.
Mine was only 83.
That's still pretty good. Look, it's still because one peso is about 6 cents US, but even still, you gotta, like, you started at 5 million, so you didn't think that one through. You didn't. The maths didn't math.
Kathy, please don't watch this episode.
It's like Kathy, you're gonna be looking for a new home because Eric just gave it away. Oh man!
Well, I have a shiny new Bedard card.
You should have at least offered. You should have at least asked for 9 condition. You should have at least put in the caveat. 5 million pesos is contingent upon it.
Black label BGS.
At least an 8.5. Let's go. So yeah. So what I'll say is this. Obviously, look, it promotes the hell out of the product. it moves even more boxes. Like just somebody knowing there's a potential golden ticket out there is massive for it. But this is already going to be a hype product anyway. Even without that, it was going to be a hype product, like crazy anyway. I'm going to be fascinated to see people losing their minds on this one because so we're in March, and obviously it's coming out this week here towards the latter portion of the week. Obviously, we're going to get some crazy breaking early. The box prices are already high, like 300 US is massive. Like it's for flagship upper deck. That's madness. The base Bedard, I think the first couple will sell extremely well. I think they'll do very well. But after that, like at 300 US, I don't know if you break even pulling the Bedard in like a couple of weeks, like for the base, just the base version of it, because there's going to be plenty of them. And that's not even counting e-pack or, the tins. There's going to be some retail versions of it as well. It's the same card.
Well,
there's no real big differentiator.
Let me get your opinions, and I'm going to rewind back away from the hot takes and go with the serious note here, because for one, I don't see specific details on these bounties, and I know a lot of cases, the bounties that have came out, there's like this weird, writing and terms and everything, including they could cancel it or change their mind at any time and all this other stuff. And to my knowledge, the first time I remember these substantial bounties come out was Blowout in 2018 with Ohtani, the Ohtani Superfractor. And since then, they've progressively become more common and the dollar amounts keep going up. And I mean, it almost feels like borderline scam of a way to promote or push, get people to pay up on some of these products to create this this FOMO, this, like you said, the golden ticket instance. And I mean, how many of these bounties have we actually heard that have been cashed in? I mean, that's another question, because like you see them all the time. And I know Fanatics, like, don't they have something now going for all their Fanatics Live? There's like a list of cards that they claim, if it's hit, you get this bounty or whatever. And if it's hit on their stream, you get like a bonus or something like that. And, you don't even know if some of those cards even exist anymore. And it's just like this weird marketing thing that's came out with these big, huge numbers. And I think it's caused some of the outrageous inflated prices that we're seeing on some of the cards and products themselves today, because people think that these cards, people think that this Bedard 101 now is worth $1 million because there's a bounty out there for it. It doesn't necessarily mean anyone else in the world would pay that price, but a company using it as a marketing ploy can throw a number like that out there in hopes to cause an outrage and buying up a bunch of product.
So kind of to answer your question, so I'll give you the example, because like I said, David Adams has become one of the notorious ones for doing a lot of these. They had, and I went quickly on the old YouTube, search here, and they had the, if you guys remember, for Bowman Chrome, they had some of those retro kind of first Bowman kind of thing, whatever. And they had one of the ones for the 2023 Bowman Chrome, and they had the Babe Ruth 1/1 Retrofractor. So like a 1/1 Retrofractor Babe Ruth. And they had offered a $200,000 bounty on that card. And that card was pulled. And on the David Adams YouTube channel, what's funny, it's testament to it. Whenever some of this stuff comes out, people talk about it, whatever. On their YouTube channel, they have the video they made with the person who pulled the card, visiting them in the store to show the card and to talk about it. They agreed to buy it, and they bought it. And that video has less than 3,000 views. It's 4 months ago. So when people get a chance to, like, it's validation, it's right on their YouTube channel, David Adams. I'll include a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. But if memory serves me, because I remember watching it, they offered the 200K, and I think the person took it. And they basically paid out the 200, and they paid out the 200K because that was the bounty. And yep, you got the card. We made a deal. Here you go. Here's your cash. And so they have paid it out.
Shit.
So they paid it. They've done it in the past. They paid it out.
2023 Babe Ruth. That is just absolutely.
Yeah, but if that's the case, you paid $200,000 for that Babe Ruth card from 2023. $1 million for the Bedard. Is it really that far out of whack?
Not with the initial craze of him, but I mean, when you look at the history of hockey cards, and there's only been 2 that have ever exceeded $1 million, you have to question the value that's being placed on it. I mean, even look at the O-Pee-Chee Gretzky. You can say, well, this Bedard's a 101. There's only 2 PSA 10 O-Pee-Chee Gretzkys. Yep. So essentially, they're damn near a 101 as well. I mean,
and even those aren't PSA 10, so there might not be one. There might not be one. but the thing is that, but look, I get your point. I get your general point. But I'm going to remind you, like, the problem is that we had a run up here a couple of years ago that kind of threw a lot of our traditional numbers out of whack, because there was the Jason Dominguez Superfractor that sold for like $451,000, and we're still waiting for Jason Dominguez to do anything.
Wait! You got the right name, wrong player though. I know what happened, okay, and I'm going to apologize on record right now.
Oh boy! All right.
I know he got pricey. I know, he had a hell of a run. He had back-to-back hat tricks, the 100-point seasons, the craze, the people ignored him when he came out, and now it's like everybody is jumping on board of any potential player that might even come close to the capability. You are correct with Jason. But it was indeed Jason Robertson that has caused the hobby to go in a craze. Specifically, I mean, think about the product. Like, it was Alexa Lafreniere, and that's what everybody was wanting, and they were spending all this money for. But little did they know, the real guy was still in the product, and now it's caused this outrage. And imagine if there was a 1-of-1 Young Gun, Jason Robertson. Like, would we even have enough money in the United States of America to put a bounty on that card? I personally don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it would have been a crazy scenario. The bounty might not have even... It would have been more zeros than C's and BCCCCCCCG. I mean, it would have been more Lemelins than Reggie Lemelin. It would have just been... It would have been so much. Yeah, 21 goals. It's not the playoffs. I already told you all the scenario this year.
63 games. 63 games, Eric.
We're not in the playoffs yet. Wait till the playoffs.
Okay. Last year, the playoffs, it did even less.
It's all in the plans, okay? But I get it. I get it. I apologize to the hobby for the inflation of the products, the card values. I am, I'm proud of Jason Robertson. But I have to say, I guess I was a part of the problem.
Oh, you were part of the problem. There's no doubt about that. That part I agree. That part we're all in agreement. We all agree.
The problem. You weren't part of it. It's 100%.
1,000% yes. Yeah, without question.
I would just suggest DA not send the card to Beckett.
Don't send any cards to Beckett.
Spend a lot of money on it if you send it there. I mean, send it to KSA. Do the right thing. Send it to KSA.
Send it to KSA.
Yeah, do the right thing.
Don't ever do business with Beckett. They are a dumpster fire of a company.
That card deserves KSA, 100%,
without a doubt. Now, I want to make sure I quote the number right. So the Jason Dominguez that I was talking about was in 2021 during obviously the apex of madness, and that sold for $474,000. $474,000 for the Jason Dominguez Superfractor. The Jason Dominguez that currently is a .258 career hitter with 0.2 WAR.
Woo! Can I share a little bit further information on that?
The same person Jason Dominguez is 0.2 WAR?
Are you gonna pump up Jason Dominguez?
The same person that bought that owns the Wander Franco Superfractor.
That is right. Yes,
that one. think about
Yeah.
that one for a second.
Yeah. So Eric, I don't know, man. Like the man is a 258 hitter. He hasn't really done like literally anything at all.
No.
And here's the thing: you can say whatever you want about Connor Bedard. He is leading all rookies in scoring. He will win Rookie of the Year.
And missed a lot of time.
He suffered a broken jaw.
And he missed games. Yep, and he missed games, and he's still leading them in scoring. His team is garbage. So his team, yeah, his team is garbage. So realistically, the fact, and by the way, I believe I could be mistaken. I'll double check just to be sure. I believe he leads Chicago in scoring, not just the rookies.
Probably
I think he
whole
leads
city.
the team. Yeah,
Probably
like
the whole
he
city,
leads
you know,
everything.
The Bears. He probably has scored more than the Bears. The Bulls.
no doubt.
You know,
Yeah.
the
So,
whole
but-
damn
but-
city.
You know, test. You know, we all acknowledge like the team is terrible, but like at least he's doing his part. He's at least the best player. You know, again, you can only do so much. It's not going to be a Connor McDavid situation where like I think his goal is actually to get 100 assists and maybe 20 goals and just call it a day.
You know, in case he ever watches this, I want to make sure that I say that my acquaintance, Nick Foligno of the Chicago Blackhawks, having a great year. Go, Nick.
Wow. But anyway, so bottom line, like we agree the bounty's too high, but I actually do think, in fact, but like I think as long as the terms are met, I think they'll pay it one way or the other. I think it's going to be a golden ticket for somebody. The question is, I guess my question comes down to this. They're going to print a crap ton of that stuff. And at the inflated price that it's going out at, how much is that pouring into the Here's what I want to know. You know, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to indulge you for 1 minute. Are you ready? We're going to do the segment that's going to sweep the nation. It's tinfoil hat time. You ready? It's tinfoil hat time. We're going to do it. All right. If you're going to rig this, #rigged, you're going to rig it. Do you have it pulled early? Or given that you're going to have a crap ton of pre-orders, a ton of stuff comes out early, the expo is in April. If you're going to rig it, you could push it to right around that time. If it comes out right around that time, heaven forbid somebody in the area is able to go put it on display at something like the expo and drive up some serious hype leading into it. If you're just going to time it out in the hockey calendar for the hockeys, the expo has its two big hockey's biggest show is the expo. If you're gonna have like a big showing of this kind of thing, I would rig it to come out around the time of the expo. Heaven forbid at the expo.
I was about to say, what would happen if during a box break, an official upper deck box break, it got opened? It just happened to be in that box in front of all those thousands and thousands of hockey fans. That'd be crazy.
It'd be a frenzy. It'd set things ablaze.
So I'm gonna give my prediction. Okay, y'all ready?
Bobbles and Ball Cards pulls in and collects $1 million. Yes, go on.
Nope. It's going to come out in the last pack available on ePack.
The last possible pack on ePack.
They just didn't even put it into a regular pack. And they set the algorithm of the ePack to make sure it was put in the last pack that was available.
Eric, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say
a mag holder in Billy's back pocket. He's just waiting to take it out.
I was about to say I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure maybe it was related to that one, or maybe it was related to something else. But I could have sworn old Spicy Eye said that like for something like that, they're going to make sure it comes out in the boxes, not on eBay. Yeah. Like for that one, they're like, we're putting it in the regular boxes.
Well, look at Topps. People go out and spend all this money on the hobby product and the jumbos, and I think the past several years, the big chase rookie, the 101, has came out of a retail. And if you really break down the odds, there is way more retail product printed of that stuff than there is hobby product. So the odds make sense. They can only put so many 101s into the hobby and jumbos, and most all the rest of it is hitting the retail product. I mean, I don't know if Upper Deck's going to do that, but that would be hilarious. Like,
look,
I sell out your product.
First off, yes,
it would be put it in ePack.
First off, yes, it would be tremendously hilarious. I would cackle for quite a while. It would be fantastic. But I think it might be problematic that I feel like I could be mistaken, but I feel like EPAC's been pushed back quite a bit. Like they've been slow getting EPAC out. Like I always talk about infamously about the AEW product. I always talk about it, but like given the relatively few products they've released out of it, they still haven't released AEW Metal on EPAC. AEW Metal came out last October. I was opening boxes of it in November. We are in March. It's still not on EPAC. And then after that, they have a bunch of other products down a pipeline. I was like, how far back are you? Like when people were asking, like, so when's the EPAC coming out? Because there's a bunch of PMGs and things that haven't been pulled, to your point. There's a bunch of PMGs and certain cards that haven't been pulled. And people are saying like, oh, I guess it'll be on EPAC. We're in March. It came out like in October, November, and it used to be like 6 weeks or something, and then it would be on EPAC. Like we passed that. That's like SGC turnaround times. Like 13 days. Try 35. Try 50. Try 400 days. Like when are we getting it on EPAC?
In a serious note, though, I mentioned the EPAC thing in all seriousness because the product is going to be crazy. Like, I don't know how Upper Deck calibrates the pricing on EPAC versus retail pricing. I'm assuming it's going to be somewhat similar to what they see market price as. But how much would a rainbow, the rainbow speckle foil or whatever it is, the one that you get, what is it, 10 silver foils that take 30 base or something to get the silver foil, and then so many silver foils to get the rainbow foil? How much would that card actually go for, considering what these base are likely going to cost? That's a several $1,000 card to get, and you have to obtain all of those base and EPAC, which, you know, you can trade it or sell or whatever on the EPAC platform. But I mean, that would cost somebody a hell of a lot of money in either wax or obtaining them from other people to accumulate enough to get that rainbow. And there could be very few of them because of the cost that it would incur to obtain that many base cards to cash in to get that rainbow foil.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. I just think right now it's a weird dynamic because it feels like some of the EPAC stuff's been delayed. So it's one of those things where I wouldn't want to be the one playing a lot of games with it. Without speculating too much, because we don't know what the final result is going to be, I am going to be genuinely interested to see what the response is of the folks as they open up a bunch of that product. Because I think it's going to be, it's setting themselves up, and it's not even their fault. It's a secondary market that kind of did this, and the distributors taking advantage, everybody taking their cut. And the result is, from the consumer side of it, you've effectively taken the same product and doubled it. Aside from the Bedard being in it, like, you can't tell me. I'm going to go look at the checklist. You know, part of my thing for the AMG Collectibles podcast we're going to do, part of it is I'm going to go look through the checklist again and try to take a look and see. But I saw nothing that is different or unique, really, between Series 1 and Series 2.
Guy or whatever from the Stars, is he in Series 2?
I believe so, something like that. Let me double check. I'll try to talk about it. But all I'm getting at is that fundamentally there is not a lot of value add between Series 1 and Series 2. The value add is the possibility, and I emphasize possibility, of Conor Bedard. But because you increase the box price so much as a result of secondary market pressures, like, you might have actually torpedoed your ability to actually make that a profitable venture, even if you did. You know, you buy one box and you pull the Bedard, then great. but you buy more than a few boxes, it's like, yeah, I hope you pulled some other stuff, because it ain't going to be enough. You need a parallel or a numbered version or something like that you need more.
The question of the night really is, Eric.
Yes.
Friday night.
Yep.
How many cases are you opening?
Oh, 7.
Sweet. I'll have to tune into that and definitely root you on. I'll get some pom-poms. I might.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think I might have. Yeah, I got some on the wall back there. I have some.
Sending,
see
I
right
also,
right there. Yep. I'll get them and cheer you on.
I am sending all the base to you. So I'm gonna
all the base. What?
I'm opening up 7 cases live. and all the base cards.
Oh, okay. The veteran base.
All the regular base cards, putting in a box
Okay.
and giving to you.
And you want them graded?
You can do whatever you want with them. They belong to you now.
Well, as a PSA bulk submitter, you should be able to take care of that for him. That should be great.
But when I get the one,
I mean, I thought he was like wanting them graded.
When I get the 1/1 Bedard in one of those
okay.
7 cases, I will send it to you to get graded though, because you're a KSA submitter, right?
I don't even know where they're located, but I did do the math, and it's only like 277 cases for $1 million. So I mean, if as long as you buy 276 cases, you can still make some product or profit selling it off.
All right.
So there's positives to it. Buy 276 cases, hit it, boom, you're good.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't
do this for profit though. I do this for the joy of cracking wax, because you know how I am. I am the wax cracker, king. So I'll be cracking all of that. You're
working on that influencer card. Yep. Yeah. I get it. You're flexing.
I was gonna say that's very important. You're gonna need to make sure you do that. It's gonna be key. Yeah. Listen, I know what Eric's gonna be going after. So I'll actually showcase this. I'll show you guys just so you can see. So I'm gonna use Eric's favorite website, Beckett. So here I am. Hobby checklist, team set details, blah blah blah. So you got all that on there. Okay. So you got your regular stuff. You know what the main thing looks like. These are the parallels, obviously different versions of it. That's so when it comes to the Bedard pulls, you're going to be obviously you'll take whatever you can get as far as pulling it, but you're looking for some of these other outbursts, like this outburst red. They look nice. I like them. To be honest, they're cool looking cards. I'm a fan. So, but then look, man, listen, UD portraits.
Oh no, no.
Yes. Eric personally vouches for
you
the
were only sending me the base, so there you go. You got your portraits.
Yeah, he's keeping those. UD portraits, he's keeping those. But my point is, like, if you did like or you did like Series 1, you're not getting a different thing in Series 2. Like, you're getting the same stuff. Like that's the point. The point is that the box price effectively doubled, and the contents are basically the same.
Will there be teacher's pet cards?
Here you go. Here's one for you. Here's one for you, Brandon. Boom.
That's a sharp card.
It's a cool looking card. And by the way, I'm sure it'll be available fairly reasonably. Like this is 1 in 6 packs. So this should be a couple of bucks. Not a big deal. For player collectors and stuff, this is fine. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. And these are very attainable, and like you can enjoy them and check them out and find what you're looking for. But all I'm getting at is that the struggle is real. Like, go look at what you pulled out of Series 1 and pretend that that's Series 2. And you cross your fingers and hope for Bedard. That's basically what you're getting.
Yeah.
Double the price. Let's go. That's it. That's all that's going on.
I won't be participating. This is actually the first year that we have not. I think it's the first year that we have not opened any hockey at all.
Mm.
So that's
I'll be looking forward. I'll be honest. I'll be watching breaks. I'll be genuinely like, I'll be definitely be curious. I'll be checking it out. Maybe I got to go see if Striker breaks, or what's the.
He only does baseball stuff, I think.
It's terrible. What kind of influencer is he going to be? I can't even see my Series 2 openings. Brutal.
Man, brutal. I would love to see if Ziri hit the 101 and it had a defect, and the meltdown he would have, because he has some really good meltdowns.
That right there, that's some quality hashtag content. Wow, chef's kiss.
That would be, that would be pretty deep on the content level.
Listen, like I said, I don't know about these other jabronis, but when we don't got Ziri, I can't take your influencer thing seriously. I cannot. I'm sorry. I just can't. I will be fascinated. This upcoming week will be in the hockey card side of the hobby. This is going to be very fascinating, because this is going to be our opening salvo. O-Pee-Chee was fun because it gave people a taste. But now, Series 2, the Young Guns and all that, that's our first real salvo, because you got the trilogy, the 3 cards that people look for. One of them is the Young Gun. The Future Watch is going to be the second when that comes down the pipeline here. And then the Cup in about 16 years. That's going to be very exciting.
Yes.
It's going to be sensational.
Can you imagine what it's going to be like when
the trio?
When the
That's
cup
right,
comes
the
out
trilogy.
16 years and they get a rookie patch auto of Bedard, that's going to blow this Young Guns right out of the water. So they want
well, I mean, it's the 101 Young Gun.
For a 1-of-1 Young Guns card. What are they going to want for a 1-of-1 rookie patch auto?
I would have to say
$9 million.
Yeah, probably 8 to 10.
Well, you're also going to remember, like I said, Brandon, it's going to be 16 years before it comes out. So basically, with inflation, it's going to be at least 20, 30
42
Bitcoin.
million.
No,
what
20,
does
30
KSA
Bitcoin.
have a deep holder for that, though? Because we got to make sure that we give them time enough to make sure they have that.
Yeah, they got time to develop it, man. Like, what are we even doing?
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure, we got to get everything right out of the pack to the slab. So I just wanted to make sure KSA was prepared because that should be coming to them as well.
Listen, this week we're going to change our labels. In 16 years from now, we're going to have thicker cards.
Thicker slabs, yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah,
all
4 thicker cards, yes.
All right. Just making sure.
You can't ask them to make these monumental changes all at once. Listen, we changed the label. Let's take 16 years off, see how it goes. We'll take a look.
They know they got time.
Slow and steady, man. Slow and steady.
Remember, the tortoise won the race. Okay.
Facts. So anything else we want to touch on as far as that one? Because then I'll finalize with the fun little story we talked about. Also at the end, we'll talk about a little trimmed card. We'll finalize it with that if you guys are good. Is there anything else on the Bedard you want to touch on, or can we finish with this one?
The trimmed card is cool, but that's just
I'm on board with this, but I'm just saying, do we have anything else we want to look? We agree it's a crap ton of money. We agree that we're not opening any boxes, but we also agree that if we did, we totally sell that card immediately. Please give us the $1 million. Thank you very much.
Oh yes, 100%.
Have a great day,
dude. I would give them a. No, I'm not saying that just in case I open a pack.
Calm down.
Statement recanted.
I was going to say, it's like, haven't you caused enough trouble? Haven't you been scandalous enough the last couple of weeks?
If I somehow pull it in the honor and name of Dr. James Beckett, I will send that card in to Beckett Grading, my first ever submission. I will fly that damn thing all the way to Texas. I will walk it in the front door. I will ask them to have Eric's name imposed on the slab, and I will demand that it is at least a 9 with no subgrades. And then we'll fly to New York and we'll hit DA Card World and we will cash in the $1 million. There we go. You heard it
now,
here.
Are you concerned at all? So semi-serious, not serious question. So are you concerned at all if they give you not only a 9, but they in fact give you a 10 black label, but it says Sandy Koufax? Does this concern you at all? Because this sometimes the player identification is a bit of an issue over at Beckett headquarters.
But I mean, it has the black label, so does
it's the black label? Yeah, black label Sandy Koufax. Yeah,
right.
I mean, a black label Sandy Koufax. I mean,
yeah.
I might have to recant my offer of the $1 million. I might have to keep it.
Yeah. They might do it, right? Just say, throw it out there.
But would it be a BVG black label? Since
probably, if it's Sandy Koufax, yeah. It'd probably be a 55 top Sandy Koufax black label, yeah.
Yeah. That's.
I hear that they do the black labels on Saturday mornings.
That's the rookie. That's
true. That is true. That is true.
So if you have it in there on a Saturday morning, that's the best time to get one.
I like it.
I'll have to think on that, but that's a very good question. That's a very good.
I'm just saying it's important that we consider the various scenarios. And if any of you have been following the channel before, you know where I came up with that. That's a combination of a couple different things and a little bit of a stew, and then thrown together. All the components of it thrown in. But just an important thing. Okay, let's touch on this one to finish off. Speaking of BVG, since we're in the day of the segues.
Oh my good God! Yeah. Now
let's do it. One more to finish this off.
The BVB.
This is from Sports Collectors Daily, so we'll share a couple of cards here with you. So Sports Collectors Daily. Apparently, this one is coming up for auction from Greg Morris. And we got ourselves a BVG 52 Topps Mickey Mantle, authentic altered. And basically the silhouette of Mantle has effectively been cut out of it. It is kind of an interesting card. They also do compare it. So I'm showing you the one here. If you're watching the YouTube version of it, I'm showing you one in the BVG altered holder. I am familiar with this holder as well because I did submit one BVG order once upon a time and had my adventures with them struggling to figure out who Mickey Mantle is. So this time they figured out who Mickey Mantle is. So this is good. I'm glad it's not Sandy Koufax on here, but we're off to a good start. So obviously a big time card, but an interesting situation with the cutout. And then here's the back of it. If you can see, it looks like it was also cut out, but it also looks like it was pasted inside of a scrapbook or something.
Yeah.
So some kind of an adhesive going on there. And
I do have questions.
Compare it. Go ahead.
Can you go back up for a minute?
For the first one? Yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't they cut the white border off right there?
So I'm going to get to that. I'm going to scroll past this. So this is the card in question. And they do also compare it to another couple of situations. So there's this other one that's just trimmed more traditionally with some tape.
Eric had that one on his bicycle.
Yep.
Yeah. And then here from CSG, we got authentic altered. So this one, the back has been skimmed on it, but the cut is a lot cleaner. This one is obviously a lot cleaner.
This almost looks like, some of our professionals in the hobby did this one. They were very good with that
X-Acto knife type stuff right there.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah, that's not little kid with scissors like the other one is, because that's exactly what the other one looks like.
Yeah, I mean,
kid from 1952 pulled it and took his scissors out, because the thing was completely worthless in 1952. And this looks like someone did this with an X-Acto knife much, much later than 1952.
They I don't know that I could get it that clean with Photoshop. And I'm pretty good at Photoshop, doing my little cutout.
I know you are.
They were good.
I'm aware.
Just saying. So let me pose this question. So obviously we've discussed kind of the relative merits of some of the expensive, inexpensive cards, spending big money on it, and we were kind of joking about it when we were looking at this earlier. I will include a link to this Sports Collectors Daily article in the description for you if you want to check it out. It's interesting if you're interested in a lot of these vintage cards anyway. And obviously these are very beat up, low grade examples. But some of these, including this one that I showed, the second one here, went over 10K. So it tells you where the cost situation is. So it's like, yes, it's a real Mantle. Yes.
That doesn't it was 2021 during the boom. The people were just burning money. There's no way that's going for 10 grand today.
Yes, it is.
Probably more.
More, yeah.
No, I call shenanigans.
I'm not asking Eric. I'm not asking you. I am telling you. Yes, it will go for over 10K.
I am leaving the hobby then.
Yeah, the problem was
that would likely go for more.
The Mantle has been pulled up so high based on like the higher end. The higher end pulled the middle end up, and the middle end pulled the low end up. You could literally have it cut in half, and they'll ask you for 10,000.
Yep.
That X-Acto knife one, I could see for going for more money than that beat up ass been through the washing machine 5 times one. But 10 grand for that today, I just
is a guarantee. It's not like look, we're being completely serious here.
I know.
I guarantee you it will go for over 10K.
Rule number 1, right? Because that is stupid.
And that's right now.
Yeah,
that's right now.
I wouldn't even want something like that.
To be honest with you, I would
not pay, half price or whatever for a Bobby Orr rookie card, as much as I want one, and maybe I'll be on my deathbed with the insurance money that my wife will be getting postpartum. I can purchase one.
Postpartum is very different. The postpartum is something else. You're thinking postmortem?
Postmortem. Yes, postpartum is the baby thing. So I would not want a beat up piece of trash like that in my collection, no matter how expensive the card. I don't want a Gordie Howe rookie that looks like that. I don't want an Orr rookie that looks like that. That would not bring me happiness in my collecting.
If that beat up one was in a different holder than it was in, it would get even more money. And that's the funny part with it. Like, it's altered no matter what, no matter how you look at it. It's like there's no conditional grade to it. It is beat. But you put it in a different holder and it would go for more money. That's the funniest part about it.
I could, as a collector, I don't want it. If somehow I knew I could spend 10 grand and get some sucker to buy it for more, yes, I would do that, because that's just money management. That's just good maths. But as a collector, I don't want that thing in my house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, essentially, you could buy it in that holder, crack it out, get it re-slabbed in a different holder.
Oh, if we put it in ASA, then I want it. I'm gonna dangle it by the front door so anyone who walks in sees it first.
Yeah. Part of the problem, like, in all seriousness, part of the issue is that, as I said, like, even the PSA ones, SGC ones, whatever, and Authentics, the price has escalated so much, even for a super beat up copy, that it dragged everything else up accordingly. The idea is,
are they over 30 now? Or are they in the 20 range?
So let me show you one that is in poor condition, but obviously not as bad off as that one. Yeah. Still poor condition, but not quite as bad. So let me show you this one here. So let me show you the image. So here, this is a PSA 1. Very clearly damaged, very clearly a 1, but not nice nearly copy, to the degrees.
I would have no problem with that in my collection.
Yeah, that's a nice copy.
Now what's your price? But what's your price point? What do you think this would have gone for? This is a PSA 1. This was December 31st, 2023. So it was the end of last year.
35.
Okay. What do you think, Eric?
What it should cost?
What do you think?
For? It probably went for something stupid like $50,000.
Yeah, not quite that bad. 26.5.
26.
So the thing is, this is a 1, beat up, but at least it's presentable enough for one. It's it's certainly seen worse. We literally saw worse 3 seconds ago.
I'd have no problem.
I saw it.
This is my Mickey Mantle card. I'd have no problem with that. That one's fine.
I thought the ones were. I thought they had exceeded 30,000. So maybe they came back a little bit on the ones.
It'll depend. It has come back, but it also depends on the aesthetic, right? We always talk about how there's a spectrum on the low grade. So that was a 1. And this is also a 1.
That's a pinhole. That's a beautiful copy.
Correct.
Holy smokes.
That one is 49,000 because it's a pinhole.
Is the back torn apart, or is it just?
No, it has a pinhole.
So it automatically goes to a 1.
Yep.
Automatic. Yes, it's got a hole in it. It's got a hole.
That's like a. Yes. That would be probably a 7 without that.
So here's the back.
I'd take.
So hold on. Sorry. Let me reshare and I'll show you what it looks like.
Yeah,
that's a smoke show of a 1. Holy
I don't really care, like a little pinhole.
That's clean. That's perfectly clean. The issue is a pinhole,
and you can't see the pinhole on the back.
Yeah, the issue it's right there.
I know, but from the back you can't see it.
Yeah, but that Eric, that's the point. So real quick, so this is a reminder for everybody.
Yeah,
the aesthetic matters.
Oh, definitely.
This is a technical 1. By definition, it has to be a 1 because it has a hole in it. It's automatically a poor card. However, the buyer very clearly looked at the same thing you did and said, like, I am never going to find a nicer 1. Like, it's even nicely centered. It's even nicely centered.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's perfect. It's awesome.
Like, you're not going to do better. If that thing was filled, a little Kurt's card care, I think it's a $10 million card.
Oh, I'll find a way to clean that up. I don't care.
I would. That's recent grade too. That's a more recent cert.
This right here. So this is the spectrum of condition in the low end. That first card was a 1. By definition, it's a 1. This is also a 1. Very huge difference in terms of the aesthetic. Huge difference.
Man, that's a beauty.
So that tells you what the difference is. And there's a reason the person paid a strong premium for it, because the person's sitting there going, I will not do better on what is by definition a 1.
Without that hole, that card is probably 10 times or more that price. Easily.
Yeah, just because the front is about as clean as it gets, the back's clean. It looks clean. It's nicely centered. Color is nice. Like it has all the components you want, but it had a hole in it. Somebody at some point stuck it on their wall with a pinhole.
And what's crazy, people talk about these slabs need UV protection and everything. When you find pinhole cards, they are usually, in not all cases, but in many cases, they are looking like that, pack fresh. They have bold colors, and I don't know how, because so many people are worried about the UV protection of it, but they've been hanging on a damn wall, and they are bold, like crisp colors, and just you can find some amazing pinhole cards.
Absolutely. But bottom line is that that's kind of the spectrum that you're looking at. So looking at the athletic ones, obviously, and their destroyed nature and everything is funny, but like you can see what the spectrum is. So when a regularly conventionally beat up one is pushing 30, super premium pinhole style one is 50,000. Like, yeah, even a demolished run over with your car copy is 10 grand basically. Like at this point, that's where you're at.
Check that out.
Yeah, you got your
my
authentic
Dr. J rookie.
Who is that?
Yeah.
I bought this
Dr.
very, very, very cheap.
I'm having a hard time seeing it, but that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the corners cut out.
Yeah, it's my Poke J. Because it's got the rounded corners like a Pokemon card, and it was very, very, very cheap because of that. But everything else on it looks very nice.
Yeah. I think down the road we can always have a discussion about, what kind of compromise we can have a little discussion, since the folks I know enjoy the vintage card topic and everything. We can always have a discussion later about what compromises are acceptable to us, because it differs by person. Because if you're talking about in conditions, aesthetics, and stuff like that, different people prefer. Like some people are like, I don't mind if it's a lower grade. Yeah, but what's your hang up? For some folks, it's centering. For some folks, it's edges. For some folks, it's corners. It's color. It's registration. It can be a combination therein. Like, what aesthetic is okay with you? And that says a lot. It's a personal preference thing, by the way. There's no wrong answer. It's just whatever works for you. But yeah, there are value options available for you. Like I said, I'm not in that real estate, but if I'm going to buy a 52 Mantle and I want to get my best bang for my buck, that second card I showed you is pretty good. If you're going to pay a premium anyway, right? Yeah, you're looking at a card that like
the first one was nice. That second one was insane. Yeah.
But they sold right around the same time. But you can see why the price discrepancy was what it was, even though they're both PSA 1s. By definition, that is technically correct in both cases.
So here's a thought that we could like close out on. You could buy 20 of those Mickey Mantles. 20 of them. Beautiful, sharp, centered, just with a little pinhole in it. 20 of them. Or one Connor Bedard 101 Young Gun.
Eric, you know what to do.
I'm cracking cases, baby. I need that Bedard.
Connor!
Who's already broken his jaw, who could blow a knee out tomorrow and never play hockey again a day in his life. Yeah, or Mickey Mantle, who
20 of them that are beautiful copies. You could have five on each wall.
Player of all time, and we know he's not going to get hurt and ruin his career because he's dead. So yeah,
crazy world we live.
I like vintage, baby. Like I spend money on vintage stuff because I don't have to worry about investing money and worrying about the players, getting hurt or having drug and alcohol issues and killing their careers. I'm all good. So
all this is to say, if you had just been buying up Bitcoin at the low and selling now, none of this matters.
Right.
It's like, honestly, if you just bought it. Yep. I laugh because I actually still had some left over, and I was like, oh. And then I hadn't really been paying, like, no joke, I had not been paying attention. And I was sitting there like, oh, I got like $1,500 in Bitcoin still. Oh, that's all right. I just left it. I just let it sit and do whatever. Like I didn't realize it had come up as much as it had. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I have a buddy that invested heavily in that, bought all these stacked computers for his basement so he could just mine Bitcoin. And it's just like, all right, dude, it's freaking pretend money. You're mining Bitcoin on the internet. I may not be a smart man, but I know
Brandon, I don't want to tell him, but like real money is fake too.
I don't know. I can see it. It's right there. And then I can use that.
We can get your Bitcoin coin if you want.
Eric, this is real money, and that's all you need to know.
That's all I need to know, baby. Jason,
this is real money. See, it's even green. It's even green.
Wow.
We're pumping, baby. We're pumping tonight.
By the way, as an Easter egg earlier we had synchronized. There was synchronization earlier. So
there sure was.
Just letting y'all know. Just letting y'all know. All right, that's it. So we'll leave it for Eric here as he starts planning his escapade to crack all the cases to pull the Conor Bedard 1 of 1. We got Brandon here who's trying to shop right now. We need to leave him alone so he can go back to shopping for mega yachts with that sweet SGC bag. As he, next week he'll be here with the bags of money hanging out, the gold chains happening. The Jason Robertson will be in a not the original one. It'll be like a gold, like a Mr. T kind of thing going on. Like it's pretty sweet. That sweet collector's money coming in.
Both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about it, man.
Okay.
I like it. Eric Sanderson Door, if you want to send all your hate and cursing at him, I would. That's basically what I do in my regular time. Brandon, Bobbles and Ball Cards and 540 Flips. So you got 2 different channels where he can either tell you about the flips or he can start doing his Jason Robertson pump. Listen, when y'all can spend big money on a 20-goal scorer who's not even at a point of game, he's saving it for the playoffs. See, speculation ruining us all. We could be focusing on Conor Bedard in the future.
Oh yeah,
not the past, the future.
No.
But nonetheless, he'll be giving you his other stock tips. He'll let you know Jason Robertson is a 3 times better investment than Conor Murray. Not 4 times, but 3 times. We don't want to get too greedy. No. Also want to thank AMG Collectibles, AMGcollectibles.ca, and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. You can check it out. We'll be talking some Series 2, no doubt, and some other stuff that came in the shop. So we'll be having some fun with that. So for these gentlemen and myself, thank you for checking this one out. More videos coming up on the channel. Live streams on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this YouTube channel. You can also hear the audio version where you're missing out on our wonderful faces and all the glorious visual aids that we had, especially on this episode. You got to see it. If you want to see some of those cards we showed, you got to see the visual aids. Just saying.
Visual aids.
Yeah. Otherwise, hit the like button so that Eric pays for it. Have yourselves a good one. We'll catch you in the next one.